Good evening, everyone. I'm so happy to have you with us tonight, and especially so pleased and honored to have our panelists with us tonight. I think it's going to be an interesting evening where we'll get to learn about this new program called Community Choice Energy, a new way of receiving electricity in your homes. I won't say anything more than that because I'm sure I'll get it wrong. I'm going to leave it to our experts to explain. I want to quickly introduce myself. I'm Rosette Garcia, and I'm the president of the League of Women Voters of North County, San Diego. The League of Women Voters has been active in North County for just over 60 years. We celebrated 60 years, our 60th birthday last year. Our mission is to empower voters and defend democracy. We advance that mission by encouraging our community to be informed about public policy issues and to participate in government at all levels. We work to educate and inform the public on everything from ballot measures, maybe you've attended one of our pros and cons presentations, to candidate forums where you learn about candidates running for public office, as well as webinars like the one you are attending tonight. We are strictly nonpartisan. We never endorse or oppose any political party, candidate, or elected official, and it is always our intention to provide impartial, unbiased information. We are a grassroots, member-driven organization, about 200 members strong and growing. We invite you to become a member if you're not already one, or you can support our work by making a donation. You can visit our website to do either one of those things. So what I'd like to do is to just do some brief housekeeping and give you a quick preview of the format for the evening. So for the housekeeping, the chat function for our attendees is not enabled. If you have questions, we do have the Q&A in the which I think you'll find in the lower portion of your screen. Feel free to enter questions throughout the presentation, and we will take questions at the end of all of the presentations. As you can see on the slide, we have a moderator and 3 panelists. Our moderator, Rob Howard, will introduce the panelists. I will be introducing Rob, but before I do that, I'd like to thank, again, our panelists for taking time on a Tuesday evening to be here with us. And I'd also like to give a shout out to my colleagues, Carol Parker and Ann Olmsted, who along with Rob Howard did all the heavy lifting to put on this event. So thank you, Rob, Carol, and Ann. Let me now introduce you to Rob Howard. He is a former nuclear utility professional with over 30 years experience in nuclear operations, labor relations, communications, diversity, and equity. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. He is a past North County NAACP president, and he is the chair of the board of Rise Church of Oceanside. Currently, Rob is an energy industry consultant focusing on communications, marketing, and implementing commercial microgrid design and build technologies. We are also very proud to count him as a member of our league. So thank you, Rob, and let me turn it over to you to get us started.
All right, thank you, Rosette. I really do appreciate that. I want us to really get started. And since we're talking about energy, the first thing I want to do is just let everyone know that San Diego Gas and Electric was invited to be part of the discussion, but they respectfully declined, and they provided us with the following statement. We support customers' rights to choose their provider and are working with the region's CCAs to ensure they are successful. So we appreciate them providing us that feedback. And I want to get right into it because there's so much information that we want to get to. And for our panel, I want to do their introductions. What I'm going to do is introduce all 3, and then we'll ask each of them to begin their participation. And we'll start with our introductions with Joe Mosca. He joined the Orange County Power Authority team in December of 2022. He joined as the Director of Communications and External Affairs. Previously, as an Encinitas City Council member and deputy mayor, Joe was a founding member and the former chair of the board of directors of the San Diego Community Power, the second largest community choice energy program in California. He previously worked for San Diego Gas and Electric and Southern California Gas Company. He served as mayor of Sierra Madre, as well as several regional boards. He is passionate about clean energy and sustainability and believes deeply that CCEs can help move our communities toward a healthy, clean energy future. Welcome, Joe. And next, I'm going to introduce Barbara Boswell, who has 25 years in municipal finance, which led her to the wonderful world of community choice. In 2014, Barbara led the launch of the first CCE in Southern California, Lancaster Choice Energy. Subsequently, she has helped launch and operate 9 other CCE programs, including Solana Beach's Solana Energy Alliance and Clean Energy Alliance. Barbara has been Chief Executive Officer of Clean Energy Alliance since January 2020. And Barbara, we're so glad to have you here with us today. And last but not least, of course, Karin Burns is currently the Chief Executive Officer of San Diego Community Power, where she is responsible for overseeing the $900 million plus budget to ensure sufficient and reliable clean power procurement. Previously, she was the Regional Vice President and Vice President of Corporate Strategy for Franklin Energy and the Chief Executive Officer of Build It Green, BIG, where she oversaw a portfolio of energy programs across California. A veteran clean energy executive and environmental advocate, Karin is a passionate advocate for innovation and clean energy investment. So as you can tell from those introductions, I'm really excited about the information we're about to get. And Joe, why don't we start with you?
Sure. Thank you so much, Rob. And thank you, Rosetta, and Carol and Nancy and Anne. So much. Thank you so much for having this tonight and giving us a chance to share more information with voters and with folks that are interested in community choice and clean energy. I'm going to share my screen now. Hopefully I can do this without any issue. There it is. All right. I'm also excited to be with you guys here tonight because I get to share information and be on a panel with 2 amazing leaders, Barbara Boswell and Karin Burns. They're doing so much in this space, and so very excited to be here with them tonight. And also to present on something that I'm passionate about, as Rob said, and something that I've been involved in for about 6 years now, community choice energy. So let's get started with the slide deck that I've put together. And you'll notice that I've called this part of the presentation, "You have the power to choose a sustainable future," because this is what I believe community choice energy is all about. Now let's see if it will move. And it will. There it goes. All right. The power of community choice, the power of community is here. Community choice energy, or CCE, is relatively new to San Diego and Orange counties, but it's not new to California. In 2002, seeing community choice energy, also known as community choice aggregation, as a powerful tool for the state to move toward a clean energy future, California passed a law that permitted local communities to form a community choice energy program. Simply put, a community choice energy program allows communities to work together to give Californians the opportunity to choose their electric provider and how much renewable energy they want procured on their behalf to put onto the electric grid. With a CCE, residents and businesses have a choice in their energy needs and their energy future for the first time ever. So why do we do this? Scientists predict global temperature increases from human-made greenhouse gases will continue. Severe weather damage will also increase and intensify. Droughts, wildfires, and extreme rainfall are happening faster than scientists previously assessed. Energy is at the heart of climate challenge and key to the solution. Renewable energy is one of the most effective tools we have in the fight against climate change. CCEs are succeeding all over the state of California, with 25 programs already providing reliable, affordable, and clean energy to local customers and delivering innovative reinvestment programs that benefit local needs and state climate action goals. 25% of California is currently served by a CCE provider, 11 million people and 200 communities. And this number is growing rapidly as CCEs prove to be an effective strategy for moving toward a clean energy future. How does it work? The CCE purchases renewable energy on behalf of its customers. Utility still delivers electricity via the electric grid and handles billing. If your power goes out, you still call your utility. The customer chooses how much renewable energy they want their CCE to procure on their behalf to put onto the electric grid. Over time, the electric grid becomes greener and greener, and the cost of renewable energy comes down. Renewable energy comes from resources that are naturally replenished, such as solar and wind. Traditional fossil fuel energy, such as oil, natural gas, and coal, cannot be replenished. All renewable energy is carbon-free. However, not all carbon-free energy is renewable, such as nuclear power. Benefits of CCEs. CCE board of directors are comprised of local elected officials appointed by their member agencies. It's more reflective of the distinct community preferences because decision-making on rates, programs, and policies is locally governed and are tailored to the best suit the very communities they serve. As demand increases, so does the need for a local workforce that supports and supplies the power source infrastructure. CCEs are not for profit, and they make healthier, more resilient communities by reinvesting funds into new projects and programs to support local needs. CCEs create incentives and programs that are tailored to specific communities to help with the transition toward a clean energy future. Historically, investor-owned utilities have been the default service provider to customers in their jurisdiction. However, with the 2002 state legislation, this default status was transferred from the investor-owned utility to the local CCE agency. Legislation mandated that customers residing in the service area would automatically be enrolled unless they choose not to participate by opting out. So when your CCE launched, all customers in eligible communities were transferred to the CCE. Now, when new customers open a new electricity account, they are automatically CCE customers. For example, Orange County Power Authority, who I work for, I'm the Director of Communications and External Affairs for, OCPA customers automatically begin service at the default rate set by their respective city council, unless they choose to opt up, down, or out and back to the utility. But the reason CCEs exist is so that communities can work together to decrease dependence on fossil fuels at a faster rate than the investor-owned utilities can. With each customer doing as much as they can, the electric grid will become greener and greener over time. OCPA, Orange County Power Authority, offers 3 energy products. If cost is a primary driver for you, OCPA's basic choice generation is 2% lower than Southern California Edison's equivalent generation rate and provides more renewable energy than Southern California Edison. So if you'll have a superior product at a lower cost, allowing you to do what you can to address climate change. OCPA also offers a 69% and 100% renewable energy product, a little bit higher of a cost. These offerings are not the same from CCE to CCE, but they're very similar. Over 85% of OCPA's customers, we have approximately 240,000 customers, are at the 69% and 100% renewable energy level, which is very significant. Currently, there are 4 cities that are powered by Orange County Power Authority. Irvine, which has a default rating or default setting of 100% renewable energy. So when customers were launched, In Irvine, they were started off at 100%, and then they had the choice to move down to 69%, to 38%, or move back to Southern California Edison. Buena Park is at 100%, Fullerton is at 69%, and Huntington Beach is at 38%. Each participating community chose a default rate from one of the 3 OCPA plans. Here's the power of CCEs also. OCPA has entered into approximately 115 power contracts in less than a year of service. OCPA launched commercial and municipal customers a year ago and launched residential customers in October of last year, so less than a year of service. A few of these contracts are for brand new renewable energy generation right here in the state of California, which not only helps OCPA customers, but also helps all Californians by bringing much needed energy generation to our state. These contracts are for solar, wind, hydro, geothermal, and biomass. Now that I'm at the end of my presentation, I'm going to hand it back to Rob, our moderator, and he's going to hand it over to the next presenter.
All right, thank you, Joe. And so far, Joe's talked about the fact that the local municipalities decide the rate, you get opted in based on the law, and you can actually move around with the plans you have. Now I want to bring on Barbara to talk a little bit about Clean Energy Alliance and you'll notice that Barbara is actually addressing cities that are right here in San Diego County. Barbara.
Thank you, Rob. And thank you for including me in this presentation. It's great to be able to share information about what's happening today, because we are in the process in this month of enrolling customers in Escondido and San Marcos. And we may have people watching this who are within those cities and actually being enrolled. So I will share my screen for my portion of the presentation. So Joe was giving an overview of community choice energy, the big picture, statewide, and specific about Orange County Power Authority. So now I want to focus a little bit on the history of community choice in North San Diego County. And while this is new to many people, it's actually a concept and energy providing a program that the cities in the North County have been evaluating for many, many years. In fact, it predates 2016 when those cities began looking at and evaluating the feasibility of bringing community choice energy to the cities in the North County. Each of the cities have identified being a part of a community choice energy program as a top initiative in meeting their climate action plan goals in reducing greenhouse gas emissions. As was mentioned, Solana Beach was the first to launch their community choice energy program in 2018. So we have actually 4 years under our belts of community choice energy in the North County area. Most recently, we've launched Clean Energy Alliance in 2019 with the cities of Carlsbad, Del Mar, and Solana Beach. So we started with the little engine that could, the smallest community choice energy program in the state with Solana Energy Alliance. But their vision was always to have other cities join and create a bigger program entity in the North County. And so they did that by creating Clean Energy Alliance with Carlsbad and Del Mar. So now Solana Energy Alliance has gone away. We're now Clean Energy Alliance. In 2021, the cities of Escondido and San Marcos joined, and they have their board members are sitting on our board and started in 2021. Even though customers weren't yet being served, they were helping to make decisions for the programs that those customers are being offered. And then in 2022, the cities of Oceanside and Vista joined. And we also have board members from those cities who are actively participating, even though those cities will not begin served by Clean Energy Alliance until next April. So Joe did talk about how community choice energy works. And I do want to stress that SDG&E continues to be a partner. We look at them as a critical part of our success in the community choice energy program and process. You still only get one bill. You don't have a separate bill, and they're not duplicate charges. And I'll show you a sample of a bill so you can see how it is shown that you're not being charged twice for energy. Clean Energy Alliance is made up of 7 cities in the North County. And we will be fully enrolled and serving all of our customers when we finish our third round of enrollments next April of 2024. So our primary goals are reducing greenhouse gas emissions through increasing procurement of renewable energy. Our Joint Powers Agreement, which is the formation document for our program, set a minimum of 50% renewable energy. Our energy that we buy should be from a minimum of 50% renewable sources, but increasing to 100% by 2035, while at the same time achieving a minimum 2% savings on the customer's generation side of their bill. So we compete with SDG&E on the purchasing of the electricity, not on the infrastructure maintenance or delivery side. And so that's where we're targeting to achieve a minimum savings. We also want to procure locally generated renewable energy to the extent it's available and financially feasible. We are a business. We need to be competitive, have rates set competitive. And so our costs need to be such that we can set rates that achieve our target savings and are also competitive with SDG&E. We currently serve approximately 92% of this approximately 60,000 service accounts within Carlsbad, Del Mar, and Solana Beach. And we do track reasons why customers choose to opt out and not stay with community choice with Clean Energy Alliance. And the primary reason is people just don't like being automatically enrolled. As Joe mentioned, this is how the law was written, is that customers are automatically enrolled. The good news is you're being enrolled in a program that saves you some money and provides cleaner energy to the community and is locally controlled by officials that are elected by you, the customers that are being served. And those are who are making those decisions. So while automatic enrollment may not be ideal, we think we're bringing good value to the customers who are being enrolled. We are having great success with Escondido and San Marcos, and we currently are at a 98.5% participation rate, meaning that only about 1.5% of customers who are being enrolled this month have been opted out. And we're really pleased with that and hope that that continues. Customers can opt out. You can opt out at any time, but you can't return at any time. You have to follow rules that SDG sets forth. So really think about, why you're opting out. And if you have, questions or concerns about the program, please call our call centers. We all have very good, knowledgeable staff at our call centers that will answer any question you have. And if you're not happy with that answer, you can ask for any of us, and we'll be happy to talk to you about our programs and help to answer your questions and concerns. So this is a sample bill, and all of us have these types of bill information on our websites. And this is taken from the Clean Energy Alliance website. So this is a summary page. And the first thing you'll notice on a customer who has a community choice, is part of Community Choice Energy, is there's a third line now on the summary of charges, and it says CCA electric generation. That's the portion of the bill that represents the charges from the Community Choice Energy program. So SDG&E receives our charges, it appears on your bill, you make one payment, and then SDG&E transfers or sends the money, collects the money and sends it to us from the customer's payment. Then when you delve deeper onto your bill, you can see that on the electricity portion, there's two parts. There's the electricity delivery, and then there's the electricity generation. Nothing changes on the electricity delivery portion of the bill. Our customers are charged the exact same rates as you would have been charged had you not been enrolled in a Community Choice Energy program. So those costs stay the same. Those are actually the highest portion of your electric bill is your delivery charges. And again, nothing changes with that portion of the bill. SDG&E still does calculate the generation portion of the bill. So this is, the first part is how much it costs to get that electricity to you. The second part is the electricity you used. How much electricity did you use during that month? And you can see they calculate the charge. In this case, for this customer, it's $32.10, but then they credit it off. One of the benefits of that is it makes it very easy for you to compare what would you have paid SDG&E if you weren't part of a community choice energy program, and then what are you paying as being part of a community energy choice program. Another new line item, it's not a new charge, but it's broken out on the bill for a community choice energy program. It's something called PCIA. That stands for Power Charge Indifference Adjustment, also known as an exit fee. This is not, again, not a new charge. It's just with SDG&E, it's buried. It's a component of these rates. When you become a community choice energy program customer, it's broken out. So some customers feel like this is something new and now you're getting a new charge, and it's really not. It's just specifically called out. Then the CCA charges are on the very last part of the bill. This bill is calculated is off of a sample customer, but it's using real rates. And you can see that for the same amount of energy, you're paying $17.86 to clean it to the community choice energy program. Then you add in this $13 and you'll see overall it was a lower cost on the generation side than what you would have paid SDG&E. Again, these are on our websites and you can go to them to see. We also have, each of us have on our websites, something called a joint rate comparison. And this provides to the customers a comparison of average monthly usage for every rate schedule that we offer. So yeah, all three of our programs offer the same rates that are offered by SDG&E. So when you're enrolled in a community choice energy program, you stay on the same rate. And then we work cooperatively and together with SDG&E to calculate what's an average bill for each of our rates. This one happens to be the time of use DR rate, which most residential customers take service under. And you can see on average for this amount of usage, what would the total be bill as a fully bundled, what's called fully bundled SDG&E customer? What is it if you take your generation from Clean Energy Alliance on our 50% renewable? We also offer 100% renewable, and that is actually not an option that's being offered by SDG&E any longer. So if you're somebody who's interested in increasing the amount of renewable energy being procured on your behalf, you don't have that available to you through SDG&E, but you do have it offered by all three of the community choice energy programs that are operating in our territory. So you can see it's just just almost $1.70 more to get 100% renewal compared to what you would have paid SDG&E for 44.5 cents, 44.5% renewable energy. And that does conclude my portion, and I will hand it back to Rob, and I appreciate your attention.
Thank you, Barbara, because I've worked with utilities for over 30 years, and that whole bill thing is still, I go into a fog because of how complicated it can be. So I appreciate that. And we want the audience to know that these bills are actually on the CCA's website, and the CCAs are really good if you're calling in to get support through the call center to answer your questions. So thank you, Barbara, for all of that information. And now we're going to go to our second CCA in San Diego County with Karin from San Diego Community Power.
Great. Good afternoon. Oh, we're waiting for that slide deck to come shortly. There we go. Great. Thank you, Barbara and Joe, for your incredible insights. Good evening. And thank you also to Rob, Rosette, and Nancy, as well as the League of Women Voters for organizing and hosting this panel. It's a pleasure to be here and to have the opportunity to share more about SDCP with this audience. As mentioned, I'm Karin Burns. I'm the CEO here at SDCP, the other CCA here in San Diego. We serve the cities of Encinitas, San Diego, Chula Vista, La Mesa, Imperial Beach, National City, and the unincorporated communities of San Diego County. The latter two, which we, like CEA, are currently enrolling. Next slide, please. Like Clean Energy Alliance, San Diego Community Power offers choice and brings competition to our customers, and we are also helping our member cities meet their climate action goals and build a robust set of programs to invest back into our communities. Did we go to the next slide? Okay, great. We've only been around for 3 years, but our goal is to create a more affordable, reliable, and renewable energy future for generations of San Diegans to come. We were created in 2019 in response to the need for our member agencies to meet their climate action goals, spur competition in the marketplace, and give customers a choice about where they get their electricity from. We were formed as a joint powers authority, as you've heard earlier, commonly referred to as a JPA, by what we call our founding 5 members in Encinitas, San Diego, Imperial Beach, La Mesa, and Chula Vista. Took the work of many inspired advocates, some of whom are here today, and strong public leaders to bring community choice to the San Diego region. And for that, we are really grateful. Next slide, please. Our board, our community advisory committee, and our staff came together last year to develop our 3 to 5 year strategic plan that also included our mission, vision, and values statements. Our mission statement, as you see here, to provide affordable clean energy and invest back into our communities while creating equitable and sustainable future, defines what we do, how we do it, and is a living, breathing statement that acts as our North Star on a daily basis. Next slide, please. We also created our vision statement, which focuses not just on the what, but on the how, and sought to think even more broadly about the why and our role in inspiring others through our own success to accept this challenge in their own cities, states, and countries. And just as an example of this, we are welcoming a delegation from Japan next month and are going to spend several hours with them discussing what a CCA is, how it's formed, the opportunities and challenges it presents, and inspiring them to consider community choice in their country. Next slide, please. We enrolled our first founding 5 customers in 2021 and expanded to serve their residential customers in these same areas in 2022. And as mentioned this month, like CEA, we started enrolling more customers, over 200,000 in the unincorporated areas of San Diego County and National City. So as a result of this enrollment, which will go over the next few months, we will be serving nearly 1 million customer accounts throughout the greater San Diego region. That makes us one of the largest regional government entities around when it comes to how many people we serve, on par with the San Diego Association of Governments, the Metropolitan Transit System, and even the County of San Diego. It also makes us the 2nd largest CCA in California and probably the country. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Joe already and Barbara both gave a great overview of the mechanics of how this works. What I would add to that is simply that just like a CEA and OCPA and other community choice providers, we are managed by a board of directors that brings choice to customers, and we have a community advisory committee that advises us on things related to communities. We offer 2 choices for clean power, Power On and Power 100. Next slide, please. Our base Power On product offers nearly 55% clean energy. It's also, so not only significantly cleaner than that of SDG&E, it's also a bit less expensive. Back in February, we adopted rates that peg SDCP at a 3% discount compared to SDG&E's generation service, which means our customers are getting cleaner power and a lower rate. We also have a Power 100 service, which is a 100% renewable and carbon-free product, and that is on par cost-wise with SDG&E's base product. And the whole of Encinitas, when they joined, they opted up to Power 100. So the choice is roughly the cost of an extra cup of coffee each month for the average customer compared to our base product. And if you're a solar customer, you can benefit from being part of our service as well. For customers who generate more power than they use, SDCP pays more than SDG&E for that extra power, meaning more money back in our customers' pockets. Next slide, please. Next slide again. Beyond creating choice for customers and transparency in our ops, in our operations. San Diego Community Power is committed to reinvesting in the communities that we serve. So what that means is, and specifically, we're working to develop programs that meet community needs and provide practical support to customers who are looking to electrify and reduce energy costs. So too often in not so distant past, people who lived in communities of concern have not been able to take advantage of the technologies that create a more sustainable environment. But here at SDCP, we put an emphasis on justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion to ensure we don't leave anyone behind. Central to this commitment is the development of our first community power plan, which will provide strategic direction for the development of customer energy programs over the next 5 years. A robust community needs assessment was a fundamental piece of this plan. So between May and November of last year, we partnered with community-based organizations to host listening sessions, workshops, pop-up events in harder to reach communities, and we commissioned a customer-wide survey to identify needs and priorities as the community saw them. Through this assessment, we heard from more than 3,450 community members across our region that were relevant and living in our member agencies. Next slide. We also learned what their key issues are: reducing their energy bills, addressing climate change, having some sort of a reward system for behavior change that reduces energy and shifts load, good paying jobs, and cleaner air. Next slide, please. Building larger scale renewable assets locally and building more distributed assets locally also came in the top 10 of interest issues from that survey. Next slide, please. San Diego Community Power is committed to supporting populations historically underrepresented in energy program participation. As a result, we are committing 50% of our program's non-administrative budget to participation from communities of concern. We will center communities of concern in our program design as well to enable participation by all of our customers. Next slide, please. And another. In the next year, we have a few short-term goals around our programs. We are going to be focused on customer energy and awareness. Well, customer energy awareness and education to boost the understanding of energy issues, increase participation in energy programs, and ensure that folks understand how and the many different ways they can lower their energy bills. We are going to be offering application assistance to support customers in pursuing a lot of this existing third-party programs, dollars that are out there, incentives of various types, and they may not know how to access or have trouble with the application process. We also are rolling out our disadvantaged communities green tariff and community solar green tariff program, which will bring the benefits from local solar projects to those who may not be able to install solar on their roofs. And that gives them a 20% bill discount to the eligible residential customers that are defined in these disadvantaged communities, which is something that the Cal and Biro screen determines at the state level. And lastly, pilot programs. We're going to be testing out some really innovative program concepts, and we'll be supporting implementation of high impact projects that we may be able to scale once we have more funding. Next slide. Next slide, please. Oh, and again. In the midterm, as we start leveraging external funding sources, as well as start building our own internal reserves, we anticipate an increased focus on electrification, heat pump technologies, energy storage systems like batteries, demand response, and energy efficiency, among others. Our focus on local development and meaningful customer programs will give us opportunities to help those in need get job training or lower costs in their homes and businesses. Next slide, please. Next slide again. Thank you. So what does the future hold? We remain committed to putting our customers at the center of all that we do, and we are so excited about the opportunities that are ahead. We're also realistic about the challenges that accompany some of these opportunities. We're committed to entirely clean and renewable energy by 2035 or sooner. Beyond that, we'd like to ensure that 15% of that renewable power portfolio is coming from local distributed energy resources. To accomplish all this, we're going to be significantly ramping up our local renewable energy development to create pricing and energy reliability for our customers. We've recently even hired a local resource development manager to lead in this effort. This will help us create price stability and support grid reliability going forward. I couldn't be more excited about the team that we've put together as well and the path we're carving out to bring clean power to all. Next slide, please. So in closing, thank you so much for having me here today and sharing the work of Community Choice Energy with this great panel. I do want to give a shout out to my panel colleagues, Joe and Barbara, who are some of the pioneers in this industry here in Southern California. And were it not for them and many others along with them, we might not be here today. So thank you. We are very grateful for your public service and for your tremendous contributions to bringing CCAs to Southern California. Concludes my presentation.
Wow. So here are a few things that I got out of your, Karin. I really do appreciate that. One is that you actually you're planning, you're targeting those folks who may struggle with their utility bills. You have some things, and in the questions, we'd like to talk a little bit more about the net energy metering piece, but there is a benefit. And from what I understand about the CCAs, that it's custom for each one. So Rosette, how do we want to proceed with, you got any question areas we want to kind of get into first?
No, I mean,
Sorry.
I see a number of really good questions in the chat. And so Rob, I think we can just go back and forth. And if you want to, bundle a couple of them together, go right ahead and I may do the same. But
okay, the one area I'd like to get into is we talked about cost. While you have cost available or to help people with their utility bills, the one area that I keep wondering about, and when I talk to people, how does local generation, and any of the panelists can help with this, if we're generating locally, will that help with our cost? And that exit fee, does it ever go away as your CCA matures? Don't all jump at once now.
I'm happy to take that one on. So yes, the future of exit fees. So in theory, the exit fee, I guess the purpose of the fee is to ensure that customers who are not part of a community choice energy program are not financially impacted by another customer's choice to be part of a community choice energy program. So SDG&E has entered into contracts that have long terms, assuming that they were going to serve the customers in the city of Escondido, for example. So they've entered into contracts over the years to provide energy, the needed energy to serve those customers. So now those customers are going away. Almost 99% of them have decided we're going to get our energy through Clean Energy Alliance. So SDG&E is left holding these contracts with no customers to sell it to. And so they are selling off these contracts. And to the extent that they can't fully recover those costs, it's recovered through the exit fee. Over time, and there's many contracts within the suite of contracts that were entered into with varying lengths of time that they have on them. And so as those contracts expire, that group of contracts will shrink and the exit fee will eventually go away. But it's going to be around for a long time. Some of those contracts, particularly for renewable energy, can be 15, 20 years. Now, there are things that the community choice energy programs are doing to help with that. And one of those is, we're out there buying renewable energy. And now SDG&E has renewable energy that it doesn't necessarily need any longer. So we can acquire those contracts and bring those into our portfolio. That pulls them out of that exit fee calculation. So to the extent that we can do that and we buy them at market rate, so we're not getting a deal, but we're also not paying more than we should, that pulls that out and will help to reduce the exit fee. So that's I guess the basic idea of the exit fee, but everybody pays it. And keep in mind, it's not just CCE customers who pay that exit fee. You just don't see it separated on your bill. If you're with SDG&E, it's just all rolled into one number.
I would just also add that I think that there are a multitude of benefits as to why we would encourage local generation. Environmentally, it is preferable to have local generation as opposed to, building generation way out in the desert. Having local generation will spur growth in our local economy, creating good paying local jobs. Also, the alternative would be to spend money on, $1 billion or more kind of transmission lines that would basically bring, the energy from way out in the desert where you're, disrupting the environment into where the customers are. So I think that there's also, there's a cost, but I think that when you look at the alternative, that it's much more preferable to encourage local generation to the greatest extent possible.
Okay.
Thank you. There are a number of questions in the Q&A about how the CCAs will affect those customers who are generating their own electricity through solar panels and whatever. Can you speak to that?
I can speak to that for SDCP. So as mentioned, residents with solar can benefit from our service. The way it works is folks are automatically enrolled at the same time as their annual true-up date. And so for example, we're enrolling National City and Unincorporated County starting April 1st. So if the NEM customers, whether you're NEM 1.0 or 2.0, that have a true update after April and all the way through to next year until March 31st, on that date, they'll be automatically enrolled. There's no effect on your rate schedule or your NEM interconnection. So if you're a NEM 2.0 customer, you will stay that way according to the agreement that you have. But there are three things to note, if you are a NEM customer. The first one is that in our case,
just for the audience, NEM means
net energy metering.
Right. Okay.
So it's an agreement that a solar customer has when they install the solar on their rooftop. Okay. So the three things are, we are 3%, in our case, we're 3% cheaper for the electrical energy that a solar customer pulls from the grid, because, mostly 75% of our solar customers are net importers, they're not net exporters. But for those that do produce more energy, they export to the grid more than they consume. We will buy that energy at a slightly higher rate than they were getting, or that they would be getting if they were staying with SDG. It's like 0.0075 cents kilowatt hour. And then you also now have a choice. You can have an annual true up, which can sometimes be a little shocking for folks. They either get a big bill or a big check, or you can now have it monthly, if that's what you want, so that you're able to manage that budget a little bit better and really see the energy costs as we're going. So that's what changes when a solar customer in our territory rolls onto our service on their true update, that annual date where the reconciling of the energy usage and the energy exporting is reconciled.
Great. Just one quick follow-up, Rob, and then you can take the next question, but it's a little bit related. And someone was asking if there's a chance that you would change the rate structure to encourage EV charging in the middle of the day when solar power is plentiful, instead of during the night when solar is absent. It's kind of an interesting question.
That's a great idea, and something we're certainly looking at, how we can use rate design to benefit our customers.
Okay. Thank you.
And if I could just add one thing, there's a new net energy metering program that SDG&E has implemented, net energy metering 3.0. So I just want to touch on it for a moment, because it's been out in the news recently, and I think there could be some confusion that it's somehow related to the enrollments that we have occurring in our community choice energy programs. The net energy metering, or NEM 3.0, they're now calling it, actually changes the way that the credits that customers earn from the energy that's being generated, changes the methodology. So currently customers are earning that credit based on the rate that is in effect at the time they're generating it. What they would have paid for that energy, they're earning in credit. It's going to now go to what is being termed an avoided cost calculator. So rather than getting credit based on the retail rate, it's really being based on what that price of energy is that SDG&E would have paid to serve that customer. So it's a lower number. So it results in the payback of those systems being a bit longer than they otherwise would have. But there is also an incentive in there for coupling battery storage with solar, because then you're incentivized to fill up that battery during the day when the electricity is cheapest, and then using it in the evening and being off grid and using your own battery. So there are benefits. There's still a lot yet to be determined. SDG&E is still working on the specifics of their rate tariff. For Clean Energy Alliance, our net energy metering program works just like San Diego Community Power, just like what Karin explained. Our board will be considering the net energy metering program at their June board meeting, but have not taken a position or indicated they want to make a change to follow in SDG&E's footsteps with regards to that energy metering 3.0. So more to come on that.
So just to close the loop for Orange County Power Authority, it's very similar, except we give 10% credit over what Southern California Edison offers for the excess of surplus energy created. And our board of directors is looking at NEM 3.0 or whatever they're going to call it in the future. But rooftop solar is important to us, and so we'll probably continue to incentivize rooftop solar.
Excellent. I don't know if people notice what's so great. One of the things that are great about CCAs is you'll notice how they have the ability to make decisions faster, more local, more in tune with the community. So listening to this conversation, that's one of the things that I really enjoy hearing is how are you going to make my situation in my community better? So I really do appreciate you all highlighting that. My question is more about, in general, how you explain to people. You say you're purchasing in your portfolio a higher level of clean energy. But the question is, how is that cleaning up the grid? Because for many people, it's hard to make that connection because electrons are just electrons. How would you explain that relationship with I'm purchasing more and that's better for the environment?
That's a tough question, apparently.
Yeah.
Does anyone want to take it?
I'll take it. Electricity, being in the electricity business is interesting because it's not something you can see, touch, or feel, right? But you flip on your switch or you plug in your phone, when it's not working. But other than that, it's just not something that you can see. And you're right. We're not building a solar system right outside your door and connecting it to your house and saying, here's your renewable energy that we are providing for you. So it really is looking at what are we buying? What kind of energy are we contracting for out in the industry? There are rules about where those can be located. And we are all generally focused on generating facilities that are within the state. And it really is, the end result is we are decreasing the amount of non-renewable energy that the state is using or that we're using overall. And so we're all in this together, right? So it's kind of like back in the day when you went to a restaurant and half of it was smoking and half of it was non-smoking, right? So we're all in this together, right? So what we do in terms of increasing the demand and spurring on the construction that Joe talked about, the new builds, the new facilities, and more more of the energy going onto our grid being from renewable sources is really what it's all about. So someone who makes the choice to opt up to 100% renewable, we are buying the equivalent amount that they use from a renewable generating facility specifically. We have a specific contract for that amount of energy in aggregate for all of our 100% renewable.
If
Yeah,
I could add to that. Oh, did you want to jump in, Joe? I was just going to say, as we're retiring, as gas assets are aging and they're being retired, we're replacing those with clean energy assets. So, for example, we have about 6 PPAs, power purchase agreements, that we just contracted with. One of them is really exciting, and I just love to share it. It's we broke ground on a new power plant in Imperial County, which is one of the country's first solar peaking plants. So it's 137 megawatts of solar, 150 of battery storage. We're using the Tesla Megapacks and the first solar thin film solar. It's being developed by Arriven Energy. It's creating 250 clean energy construction jobs in Imperial County, which we consider as part of our area. It's going to help with grid reliability and stability because it'll exactly what was mentioned earlier. We'll be storing all of that solar it's creating during the day. And when we need it at that critical peak time from 4 to 9 p.m., that massive 150 megawatts will start distributing back into the grid. And so we're enabling the creation of a lot of those by offering to buy that power through these power purchase agreements. And we've got a goal of 600 megawatts of here in San Diego County and Imperial County, trying to get our utility scale from there, whether that's geothermal, wind, solar, and battery. So that's going to create a lot of jobs here locally. It's going to help create the cleaner grid that we're talking about. So the smokers will start going away, right? And the non-smokers will sort of start filling up the restaurant. And so that's sort of the high level big picture of what we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question, and it's certainly a question that we probably all get on a regular basis. For me, it's really like community choice energy. We're all doing our part to bring on more clean energy for climate action reason and more. But we're greening the grid together. Where basically every bit counts, and community choice energy programs are buying clean energy to replace the dirty energy that perhaps somebody was once using. And together, the more and more folks that are members of clean energy programs and the more clean energy programs that are out there, the more clean energy that we're putting onto the grid, and the more that grid becomes greener and greener. The other thing too, the other part of your question, I think, as well as people ask, are you in fact buying, these types of clean energy? And I think at the local level, you can really see your board of directors or local appointed officials, elected officials. You can go to their meetings. You don't have to go up to San Francisco. You can go to the meetings locally and see, on their agenda, the purchasing of this energy and some of the PPAs, some of the power purchase agreements that Karin just mentioned. I mean, they're local. They're discussing these at their board of director meetings, at their community advisory committee meetings, and they're voting on them locally. In addition to that, this is a heavily regulated area, and there are multiple regulators that are looking at this. And then at the end of the day, there's what's called a power content label that's produced on an annual basis right around this time, June or July. A power content label will be produced, and it will show what each community choice energy has purchased on behalf of their customers. It's kind of in retrospect. And so the 2022 power content label is going to be produced soon, and folks can see exactly what the CC has purchased on their behalf.
Great. Thank you for that. There are so many questions in the chat. I don't even know which one to ask next. But there are a couple of questions that are referring to something that's been in the news in the last week or so, that has to do with an announcement of these fixed rates that will be charged to customers based on income, and that stemmed from, I think it was Assembly Bill 205 that was passed that was requiring something like this to happen. And so now I guess the PUC is asking for this. Anyway, can you speak to that and how that is going to impact the work that you're doing, or the goals that you have set, and actually impact on customers?
Yeah, I can get us started, and then Karen and Joe can fill in where, the gaps here. What's key to I guess know here is that this change in bringing in a fixed charge along with the volumetric or the charge per usage is only on the delivery side of the bill. So if you remember looking at the bill and there were two parts, there was the delivery and the generation, that change is only going to be on the delivery side. So it's only on the portion that SDG&E charges customers. The other part of the bill, the generation, which is the part that we are replacing, that isn't changing. That methodology isn't changing. And so community choice energy customers are affected in the same way as non-community choice energy customers. So to the extent that there's a lower cost to low income or customers who are charged the lower fees, those our customers also have that advantage of those savings. So there's the exact same, the change will affect all of our customers the same based on the income levels that have been spelled out within the program guidelines.
Yeah, I think that's well said. I don't really have much more to offer. I think that this is a discussion that's just starting in our state. And if folks have strong opinions as this kind of evolves, this discussion, they should absolutely reach out to the California Public Utilities Commission or even members of the Community Choice Energy Program to express their feelings on this. The Board of Directors of Orange County Power Authority have not taken a position. And I don't believe our trade organization, CalCCA, has taken a position on it at this point either.
Excellent. I have this question someone put in, and they're in Oceanside. So Barbara, it's probably directly for you. And they say, I have solar, and will Clean Energy Alliance use the same terms for buying our solar? And you touched on it, but I think with a new customer coming in, it'd be good to just kind of elaborate on it. Will the terms be the same for buying our excess solar from our panels as either SDG&E or one of the other CCAs?
Yeah, so similar to the explanation that Karen gave with regards to how San Diego Community Power's net energy metering program works, we work just the same. So if the customer is currently a NEM enrolled in NEM 2.0, or if they're if they are in with SDG&E as NEM 2.0, they will keep that grandfathering. So they will keep that status. They will be enrolled in the same rate that they're currently enrolled with SDG&E. They will be enrolled with us. We will be calculating the credits and charges in the exact same manner that SDG&E does for NEM 1.0 and 2.0. The differential is that at the end of the year, when the account is fully accounted for, when you look back over the 12 months and say, okay, how much electricity did your system generate? And how much did you use? And did your system create more energy than you used? In essence, it went back on the grid. We pay 6 cents per kilowatt hour, which on average is higher than what SDG&E has been paying customers. So we pride ourselves in that having been a bit greater benefit. But in terms of the monthly reconciliation and true-up, that process is the same. It's based on our rates for the generation portion. The delivery portion is based on SDG&E's delivery rates.
Great, thank you. So there are several questions in the chat that are kind of related, and so it might be a couple of questions that I throw at you right now. But people are curious to know where exactly you're getting, where is this coming from? How far away are you going to get the clean energy that you're supplying? And related to that, someone asks, since zero carbon power seems to be the goal, is nuclear part of your power mix now, or could it be in the future? And gosh, there was one other thing that I kind of wanted to throw in there that I can't remember now. It had to do with why didn't the law just require existing providers like SDG&E to buy clean energy instead of creating this sort of alternative or maybe even competing, CCAs, if that makes sense. So can you respond to those questions?
I can start. So in terms of where our new build plants are being built, that's where I have a little bit more, visibility right off the top of my head. We've got projects in San Diego County, in Imperial County, and we have a wind project in New Mexico. It can be challenging to get projects built in San Diego County. We are excited by the one that we have, and Imperial County is where we're seeing a lot of opportunity to build large-scale clean energy assets. And again, we have a 15% goal to procure local distributed energy resources. We just hired someone. We're building out that plan. We'll be showcasing it in probably 6 months or so in one of our board meetings about how we plan to do that through residential assets, rooftop, commercial solar, parking lots. There's all kinds of ways to what's called an infill, local infill plan. Small scale parcels of land here and there owned by the city. So we're working diligently to start building out that sort of a plan. In terms of, I think your question was related to nuclear. I would say that our organization uses the state of California's definition for clean power, and our goal is to get to 100% renewable sources by 2035. So nuclear is not really part of that current portfolio. We're following the California definition for renewable power sources. And that's what we're focused on.
Yeah. And I can answer the question of why didn't the law just direct the investor-owned utilities to buy more renewable? There actually is a state law that has set a goal to achieve 100% renewable by 2040. But when Assembly Bill 117 was passed, which enabled community choice, it was back in early 2000s when we had the energy crisis. And so they were bringing, the state law was to bring other options to communities for their procurement of power. And it enabled cities and counties to create the community choice energy program, to aggregate the electric usage within their territory and buy the electricity on behalf of their customers. We buy a higher renewable content to meet our individual goals set by our climate action plans for each of our cities. We're driven by the goals of our communities and those goals and priorities set by the local elected officials. So we have to meet the state standards, the state minimum. We voluntarily, which is why each of us has a little bit different renewable content, we voluntarily exceed that amount because we have more aggressive goals in bringing reducing our carbon footprint and reducing greenhouse gas emissions as a result of our activities and our buying of electricity.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, for Orange County Power Authority, and our member agencies, there's definitely a desire to move faster than what how fast the state is moving. And so, as I mentioned, while we have 3 energy products, over 80% of our customers, 240,000 customers, are at the 69% or 100% renewable energy level. So that is, significantly more than what the state, dictates to the investor-owned utilities. For instance, Southern California Edison right now, by law, is at 31%. It may change with the power content label coming out, but currently they're at 31% renewable energy. And in terms of siting of generation, certainly local generation within Southern California, within Orange County, is preferable. Our most recent power purchase agreement was for solar and energy storage within Riverside, which we still consider local. And so that is something that's preferable. And we've purchased wind from New Mexico and hydro and solar and geothermal from Imperial Valley. But local is something that is definitely preferable. We don't have any kind of restriction on nuclear at this point, but there's not much out there to purchase. There's 1 nuclear facility left in the state of California. And so from a practical aspect, it doesn't generally end up in our portfolio.
Okay, so I just looking at these couple of next questions, I'm gonna try to phrase them as if they were coming from me. I just figured out all this is going on around me. My city selected a different default than I wanted. The first question is, how do I change it? Because I want to either go higher or lower. The other one is, because I'm learning, I want to get involved. And how do I do something like find out about that community advisory committee? So how do I get involved for each of you?
For Orange County Power Authority, you can go directly to our website at www.ocpower.org. And you can go there. It has information on our community advisory committee. They meet the second Monday of each month at 6 p.m. at our office in Irvine. And that's one way of getting involved. They can also attend our board meetings if they want to go to those, which is the third Wednesday of each month. And if they'd like to select a different energy product other than the one that they were defaulted into, you can really easily do that right online, right on our website. It has an area for you to explore your energy options and to default up, default down to another energy product, or even choose to go to Southern California Edison, back to Southern California Edison. We try to make it as easy as possible.
Yep.
To select your choice, to make your choice.
And for Clean Energy Alliance, we actually have an opening on our community advisory committee for the city of Escondido. So you can go to our website, and when you go onto our website, which is thecleanenergyalliance.org, there'll be a pop-up, and you can click the link and get the information about our community advisory committee and the application, and encourage anyone in Escondido who's interested in participating. Our meetings are public. Both our community advisory committee meetings and our board meetings are held at the Oceanside City Council chambers, and our board meetings are the last Thursday of the month, except this week we were canceled, but typically the last Thursday of the month at 2 p.m. And our community advisory committee is the first Thursday of the month of even months. So every other month. But that information is all on our website. I encourage you, all of three of our websites are just a treasure trove of information. You can find our agendas, you can find recordings of our meetings, you can find information about how to make changes to your service. You can find out who to call if you don't want to do it yourself online. So I really encourage anyone who's interested in learning more, go to our websites, because you'll really learn a lot.
I would echo that and just, remind folks that while we're local nonprofit electricity providers, we're also government agencies. And so transparency is a very important value that we all have. And so that's one of the reasons you will be able to find a lot of really great information on our websites, as Barbara and Joe have mentioned. We happen to have an opening in the CAC for Imperial Beach, which we're looking to fill right now. And then every couple of years, different sections will term off. And so it's a rotating role. I think it's a 2-year commitment. And so we'll have a bunch of openings coming up in June across all of our areas. And so we are sdcommunitypower.org, and lots of information on there, ways to contact the call center, learn more, learn about your bills, summer savings tips, all kinds of really great information on all of our websites. So that's a great place to start.
Well, great. I think we'll probably wrap it up there. I have to tell you, this has been for me, so informative. I feel like I've just got it. This now doesn't feel quite so scary and just confusing. And I'm in unincorporated San Diego County, so I'll be be looking forward to signing up soon. And so anyway, I want to say again how honored we are at the League of Women Voters of North County of San Diego to have had you all spend part of your evening with us tonight. And also want to thank Rob and again Carol and Ann for putting this webinar together. Nancy, were you gonna? Yeah. So again, just thank you. If you found our evening informative and helpful, support our work by making a donation at our website or join us, become a member. We're open to anyone. We're called the League of Women Voters, but anyone can be a member of the League. So anyway, thank you again. And thank you for being here tonight. Good night. Have a good evening.